Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Bob with Southwest Michigan Sales LLC. I'm the owner and operator. Today I felt like it was important to discuss something that has been on my mind for a little while. Overall, in the public opinion of people that are resellers, there's overall a negative vibe toward resellers. And I wanted to give my perspective on that subject, coming from someone that actually has done retail and been a reseller or reseller right now with my own website. For 11 years, I actually owned a brick and mortar retail store and actually had contracts with wholesalers. I had a big 2-door cooler that was in my store from Pepsi. I also had Frito-Lay come regularly. For a little while, I also even had Little Debbie, and I had other wholesalers and suppliers that I dealt with as well. A lot of people get mad or get upset at resellers when they buy something for $1 and turn it into $50 or $60. I can understand that. I can see both sides of that scenario. But I just want to tell you something that I saw with my own 2 eyes. One of the products that I still have for sale, one of the worst mistakes I've ever made. You go on my website now, southwestmichigansales.com. You will see that I have some items that are screen friends for sale. They are from a company called Smart Planet. Back in the day, I actually had my store from 2003 until 2014. I bought a lot of products. Some of the products I bought turned out okay. Like I bought a Jobot. It was a radio controlled inflatable robot. I bought those for $12.50 a piece wholesale and was selling them a lot of times for $25 or $24.99. But one thing that really struck me was I really wanted to get is they made a pen at the time that actually, if you were at, say, an office or a library or someplace that your phone really should not be ringing, the pen would actually start flashing at the top to indicate that you have a phone call coming in. It would connect to your phone, which I thought was a really nifty and unique idea. I wanted to sell it in my store, and I tried to get in contact with Smart Planet that sold it at that time to be able to sell it, and found out the wholesale cost on the item was, I don't remember the exact, it was either $1.25, $1.50, $1.75, but I know it was under $2. I think it was $1.25 per piece. And I think they had a minimum order, it was like 36 pieces or something like that. I don't remember the exacts anymore. But anyway, tried to order it and found out that they were actually out of stock, that Walmart had actually purchased all of their products. They didn't have any more planned to come in. So I thought, okay, if Walmart has that product, they probably have some of their other products. So I better go and make sure my store is pricing competitively to be able to compete, because I realized some of my products are also in their store. But also, when you are a small retailer, you can't buy in the quantity that large mass retailers can to get the kind of pricing that they get. Your pricing is increased drastically over what mass retailers can get pricing for. So when I was walking around the electronics department inside my local Walmart at the time, in my hometown there was no Walmart at that time. The closest one was about 20 miles away, which would be in Portage, Michigan or Sturgis, Michigan. It wasn't many years after I opened my store that a Walmart opened up in my hometown. It wasn't much at all, and it killed my business badly. Ended up closing it down in 2014. But what I wanted to say about this pen was I was absolutely shocked. Walmart had it marked, it was an odd price. It was like $19.77, $19.88. It was under $20, but it was some odd amount. I think it was $19.88 if I remember correct. But their wholesale cost in the item was under $2. I'm pretty sure it was $1.25. So from $1.25 to $19.88 profit on that one item. When I first opened my store, I had never heard of such a thing as a lost leader. You're thinking in the back of your mind, what in the heck is that? What that is a product that a retailer or a business will purchase and they will sell it at a loss. They are losing money on that product. Now you're thinking in the back of your mind, why would anybody do that? It is a smart marketing tactic. What I found for my retail business when I had it at the time, Walmart especially, was famous for taking their brand of product and selling it at a very low cost. But then if you actually started looking at the name brands of those products, say Samsung, LG, GE, KitchenAid, those types of products that are name brand across the country that lots of different retailers sell, I would say probably 90% at a minimum of the time, Walmart was always more expensive on those brands, but they always advertised their brand at an extremely low cost. It would build into people's brains that they always have the lowest cost on all products. In many instances, that was not true. I found that a lot of times, but that was genius marketing. Absolutely genius. I found it incredibly difficult to compete and ended up closing down that retail business in 2014. I tried lots of different things to make that thing successful, but I was located in a downtown district with parallel parking. And we all know a lot of people are not good at parallel parking. Another thing that was a drawback, many people lived in the apartments above the stores and they parked downtown. And that would take away from the customer parking. People don't want to walk any farther than they have to a store. It killed my business. There were days I was making $5 or less a day in sales for a 10-hour time period. You can't survive on that. So I closed it in 2014. Actually did something else for a while, and then when COVID hit, I decided to start this business. I know many people have a negative vibe toward resellers. I get it. I understand that. But for my business and for myself, I've done lots of things. When I was a teenager, I used to go to auctions. I'm in my 40s now, have stuff, lots of stuff actually, stored away from that time period in my life that eventually I'm going to be listing on my site. I've even sold some of the items recently on my site, and boy have the values went up from when I bought some of those items, but boy have the values dropped as well on some of those items, and I'm losing money. But you need to be conscious, especially if you're a content creator and you are going out there and you are purchasing items from people and you are recording those transactions. Be respectful, be courteous. If someone has an item priced at something and you know that you can't purchase it that, say, hey, could you possibly do any better, or make an offer, but don't lowball the heck out of them. If it's something that you know that sells for $80 and they have it marked for $5, that's an automatic purchase. Why do I say that? I would never negotiate on something that I absolutely know for a fact that I can sell for $80 and they have it marked for $5. Because I remember my old days of my retail store. I also took, believe it or not, I sold grocery items in my store. I had cans of green beans on my counter or my store shelves. I had socks, brand new. I had a wide variety of items in my retail store. And I remember how much I made by selling a 2-liter of Pepsi. When I first opened my store, I was selling them for 99 cents a 2-liter. By the time I closed my store 11 years later, that price had ballooned to $1.49 a 2-liter. What was my cost on that product? $1.20 to $1.25 a 2-liter. I was getting rich. I was making a whopping 25 cents per 2-liter. The same thing with Pepsi or Frito-Lay products. The bags were all marked 99 cents on them. My cost, 74 cents a bag. Somebody steals one bag of chips, it's going to take me 4 bags and making a quarter piece to finally make that 25 cents because I had to sell 3 bags to cover the theft of the 1 bag. I had well over 100 people that were banned from my store when I closed it in 2014 for theft. I had 2 girls, I almost misspoke. 2 girls I have known since first grade and went to school with them that I caught stealing from me in my store. So I have a unique perspective on the difference between retail or retailer and resale and reseller. Everyone in business has to make a profit, but it's how you conduct yourself in that business is what makes the difference, in my opinion. You know, I was really creative when I had my store. I actually instituted something that I was hoping was going to take off because I know I checked my competition. I went to GameStop because the last 6 years or so of my business, I'd say probably 2007, 2008, it was after 3 or 4 years of being in business, I started selling and buying used DVDs and video games. And I still do that today. I enjoy that part of my business. But it was hard. It was difficult. But one thing that was amazing was I was able to test the items before I actually purchased the items. Now that I am a reseller and I go to garage sales, you can't test those items in most cases. Most people will not hook them up. I'll give you for instance. The only one that I've bought that for a Nintendo Switch was at a garage sale. I actually bought the system to be able to test games when I get them in stock. The person I bought it from told me, yeah, it works perfectly. It didn't work perfectly. The right handrail for the controller where it slid on, it didn't read the controller. I ended up having to sell it as a parts or repair system. And guess what? I lost money on it. So now when I buy video games, unless someone shows me right then and there, because when I had my retail store, you don't know how many people that I ran across that would tell me if I told them their item didn't work or I wasn't interested in it, would say, I'll just put it in my garage sale. Happens all the time. So the difference between retailer and reseller is almost similar in a lot of ways. I know when I had my retail store, there were items that Dollar Tree, they weren't my town as well when I first opened that retail store. Dollar General wasn't here. Now, there's 2 Dollar Generals in my hometown. When I had my retail store, there were items that I was buying for 85 cents, 90 cents, and selling for $1. You have to sell mass quantities to make any kind of money. But then there were items I was buying for $10 and selling for $120. Electronics, some of the items. I actually had a deal with a company out in California. I don't remember the exact name of the product, but I can explain it to you guys. It actually was a handheld game system. It was super cool. I kind of remember my wholesale price being right around the $30 to $40 price range. I could be wrong on that. It's been 10 plus years since I closed that store. So my memory is kind of fading a little bit, to be frank, on some of those details. But I kind of remember it being around $30 or $40 direct to my door because it would ship to me. But I sold it for $129 or $139, something like, I think it was $129 if I remember correct. But it was like an $80 profit per item. And what it was is you could actually take a Super Nintendo and a Nintendo game and put it into the system, and it was portable. It was like a mini Game Boy going around, but you could play Nintendo and Super Nintendo games on this item. Super cool. And I showed people. I would actually open them up. They were brand new. I had one that I actually kept in store, and I would hook it up and I would show it to people. Great sales tactic. because I showed how it worked, I sold quite a few of them. It helped keep the lights on and the bills paid to a point. Those are not everyday sale items. But in reality, when you are doing a business, be it retail or resale, treat everyone with respect. Now, am I going to make everyone happy at all times? Absolutely not. I'm going to try my best. When I go out and I source items, I keep all the lessons that I learned from my retail business in mind for my resale business. I'm lucky, I guess, in a way that I have that experience and remember those times. I've also set up at flea markets. So I know and I respect those people when they do flea markets. Because you want to know something? I myself has set up at a flea market and not even made $5 in a 10-hour day, and I put a 10 by 20 canopy up, all the tables, and took them back down. I'm in a rural area generally. So if it's not a super nice day and the temperature isn't quite right, sometimes you won't make a lot of money at a flea market. You definitely won't. It's not like some of these people you see that are in California or in Florida, where there's just people after people after people after people coming through. Okay, I hope this video has been informational. It's something that has been on my mind because I know resellers generally overall get a bad vibe out there, but every business is a reseller in its own way. Until the next one, we'll see you later. And remember, just stay humble. Keep thrifting, keep selling, and keep trying to make yourself better. And after all, we're all just trying to put food on the table and keep clothes on our back and keep thrifting and keep moving forward. And we'll see you in the next one. Thanks again, everyone. And if you could please like, share, subscribe, it would be appreciated. Peace out.